everybody. Welcome to Paranormal Addicts, Season 2, Episode 19. It should have been 18, but I decided to do 2 episodes for Smoky Mountain Terror. So we're on Episode 19 now. So we'll start out like we always do. With it, Aaron, introduce yourself. Aaron is from Tennessee Shadow Chasers. So introduce yourself to everybody, Aaron, and then we will get started.
All right. My name is Erin Hale. I am one of the co-founders of Tennessee Shadow Chasers, and we are also the ambassadors to the Euro Shrine.
Okay, we will start like we always do. As soon as I figure out how I need to put my headset, we'll start out with just a couple of icebreaker questions. And the first one is a two-part question.
Okay.
What is your favorite location that you've investigated, and what is your bucket list location?
Okay, so my favorite location obviously is the Euro Shrine, because it's a playground of spirits. So, and you've been there, so you got to experience it too, and it's just electric. As soon as you walk in, it's a feeling that you've never had before. So that's my favorite place. And then my bucket list is the Ancient Ram Inn in Gloucestershire. I can't pronounce it. I think we went over this at Smoky Mountain Terror, but
both those questions are kind of hard because there's so many places. Yeah. So I kind of break my bucket list location into two categories. I have kind of like an unrealistic one, which is the catacombs.
Yeah. Oh, in Paris.
Yeah, and then my semi-realistic one is Alcatraz.
Oh, that would be really cool. That would be awesome. They really need to.
Well, with Alcatraz, everybody thinks about the prison, and I'm sure there's a lot of activity there from the prison, but it was actually a Native American settlement first. So, So lots of history. All right, second icebreaker question.
Okay.
We have to have a disclaimer on this one. Okay. So, what is your favorite piece of equipment, and you can't say yourself?
Right. Okay. So, I am going to say, really the mag light. I really do love the mag light. It's so easy for the spirits to manipulate it, and you can get direct answers. You can set up 2 different mag lights, and you can choose this one for yes and this one for no, and that way you can play the yes or no game. And also the Epic box. And now I have the Epic box that doesn't speak. I don't have the updated one. I just have the one with the red light and the green light for yes and no. But I like the simple things. I don't like the things that make a bunch of noise. I don't like the things that have a bunch of lights. I mean, let me rephrase that. I do like them. It's just I prefer it to be as natural as possible. So battery powered things are kind of tricky, but the mag light, hands down.
Well, yeah. So I always have to throw in that you can't say yourself in there because we all know we're the best piece of equipment. So.
Well, yeah, because your body is the most important piece of equipment for everybody. Everybody.
I mean, yeah.
Important.
Even if you have a gift like myself, or even if you don't, we're still the best. We're still the best gift, best piece of equipment.
Yeah. I think so many people have abilities that don't even realize they have abilities because through life things get dampered through life, and then you gain responsibility, and then you have whatever, you have your life, you're growing up, and then you kind of lose everything. So you become more jaded as you're older. So I think a lot of people don't even explore that idea that their body is their most important tool because they see stuff on TV, but when you're there and you feel a spirit come up behind you, or there's nothing better. There's absolutely nothing better.
Yeah. I mean, to me, equipment is just to validate what you already feel, what you already know. So and there's all kinds of equipment. Like a friend Damien that's always said hi to us. Damien's made himself into a walking Ouija board. That's his tool. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to skip too far ahead, but once we start talking about the shrine,
Mm-hmm.
the shrine's got a unique Ouija board, and
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
actually, I actually had the privilege of using it.
Did you used it last weekend?
That's just a little tease. We're not gonna get there yet.
Okay, okay. Okay, okay,
All right. So yeah. So before we get into, I mean, that's the main reason I wanted you on the show today is to talk about that. But let's just talk about the field. Period. To begin with, let's start out. Let's start out with you where I usually end, so I can get to the shrine. Let's start out with our lightning rounds.
Okay.
Are you ready for the lightning rounds?
I'm gonna try.
we have two lightning rounds.
Okay.
The first one is we're going to discuss the different kinds of activity.
Okay.
I don't like to use the word haunted because people look at it negatively when it's not negative. So I prefer to use active or activity. So
Yeah.
So let's start out. Let's start out with the easy one. And in this round, you just just tell us what your experience with that type of activity is. You if you feel like it, you can give a definition for the people out there that don't know what it is, and we'll just discuss it. I mean, easy enough. So let's start with residual hauntings.
Have I experienced residual hauntings?
Have you ever experienced residual haunting? How do you feel about it?
I do feel that residual haunting is a thing because I have experienced it on several different occasions, and it's not necessarily. I don't think it necessarily has to be exactly timed correctly every day at 5:02 a.m. kind of thing. Like the Lady in White. I don't know if you remember that movie, The Lady in White, with a little boy going to school, and it's the same thing happened every day. I mean, I do believe that can happen, but when you put something like a hospital and you have all the joy and all the grief, that's energy, and energy it just doesn't disappear. It just transforms. And so I do believe in this stone tape theory, how it's like things can absorb energy, and then it's like there's still people working in a hospital, or there's, how can you explain hearing footsteps coming down the hallway and it not interacting with you? If you don't get an answer from them, then it's if it's just pretending like you're not there and it's still doing the same thing every single day, that's probably residual. But I do believe in a residual.
So as we know, and as most of the people in the peanut gallery understand, a residual haunting is just like a glitch in the matrix or videotape.
Yeah.
Or realistically, if you've ever been in an active location and had like deja vu, that's probably a residual haunting. So I'm not going to go into detail about my residual haunting experience because everybody's probably tired of hearing it. But you know what? It's my show. I can do what I want. but I'm going to give you the abridged version because you may have not heard it. So we have this location that I've actually investigated a dozen times, literally a dozen times.
Yeah.
It's one of the few locations back here that is actually known to be haunted that they actually let you investigate. It used to be the African American hotel during segregation and all that stuff. So there's several known spirits there, but one of the most known one is the former owner, and she's an interesting character anyway because she was a black woman who owned a business which you didn't really have back then, but she actually wanted to buy it while her husband was alive, and he wouldn't buy it. So when he passed away, she used his name and his money to open the hotel. And,
wow!
And it ended up being a very successful hotel. It was listed on the Chitlin Guide and everything. All the baseball players stay there, all the musicians, so forth and so on. So anyway, at 11:01, I don't know why 11:01, but 11:01, she just comes down the staircase. That's all she does. Comes down the staircase.
Overnight, just at 11:01 every night?
Yeah. So, like I said, I've investigated this place a dozen times. And every time I've tried to capture it. I mean, to the point that I shut down my investigations at 10:55 so everybody can sit up at the end of the
Ready
staircase.
to see this, right?
I've never been able to catch this except for once. Last year, 2023, I actually was hosting a camera crew from Belmont University down by Nashville. And when they were there with me, we was actually able to capture on film. You actually saw it come down the stairs, and the curtains moved, and that's about it. But it was still a cool moment.
That is really cool. Yeah.
So
people capture stuff like that. That's
traditionally, residual hauntings are looked at as the most common, but recently I've been investigating a different way based on a conversation I had with a guest last year, and they actually pointed out that maybe intelligent hauntings are the most common. Because with intelligent hauntings, we actually know they're there.
Yeah, they make direct contact with you.
That's my bridgeway for us to talk about intelligent hauntings.
Okay. Yeah. So ask me the question.
I mean, intelligent hauntings are obviously what we want. I mean, that's what we want. We want to be able to have that communication.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because you do want that validation. I think we're all in this. We're all in this for similar reasons. I mean, there's going to be a variety of reasons that we're all into this for. But I mean, making communication with the other side, that's the goal. At least for me. I mean, some people are in it to debunk, and I get that, and that's okay because we desperately need debunkers. We need people to question and to ground super believers, and there's everybody in between as well. But direct contact with the dead is amazing. And when you get to do that, and when you get to have a direct communication with a piece of history, I can't really explain the feeling. It's amazing.
I mean, yeah. So intelligent hauntings, that's what we want. Anytime you have EVP or even a REM pod or a pod. I know we're not supposed to say REM pod anymore. Anytime we have a pod go off or or capture something on Ovilus or whatever. That's the intelligent. That's what we want.
Yeah.
So the next one is kind of controversial because we don't really know what it is. I mean, there's lots of theories, but what do you think about poltergeist activity?
Oh, I know poltergeist activity happens. It happened to me in a house I was growing up in. And I think that's just a very powerful spirit that's trying to get a point across. It could be anything from, the house I grew up in, we had a babysitter. It was in Bettendorf, Iowa. Well, I didn't grow up all the time, but I think just like 6 years of my life was in this home. And the babysitter lived across the street. Well, she came over to watch us, and all of the doors and windows started rattling to the point where she called her dad to come across the street and walk around the house to make sure it was none of her friends messing with her. He walked around the house. He knocks on the door. He comes in. He's like, there was nobody there. So from that moment on, she would not babysit us inside the house. We had to go across the street. Because it was very unnerving. But I mean, I think it takes a lot of power because we're talking about energy with a mag light and how easy it is for them to communicate, but to throw something across the room and tip a table over and shake doors and windows takes a lot of power. And if it's from one singular spirit, this person's angry, or this person there's a cedar inside that's making them do this. There's very unresolved emotions.
So I mean, the problem with poltergeist activity is we don't really know what it is. I mean, the definition just means noisy ghost. But why can't it just be an intelligent haunting that's the only way they know how to communicate?
You're right. That's right.
And then, there's the theory, like you said, about it being manifest by our own energy You know,
Yeah.
I don't think until we know what it is,
Hey, Russell.
we can't really discuss it too much. Okay,
Yeah.
so let's go on to a malicious haunting. And
Okay.
notice I said malicious haunting and not demonic haunting. There's a difference. If
Yeah.
you were an asshole when you was alive, you're gonna be an asshole when you're dead. So,
You are. You're right.
so malicious hauntings.
Yes, those are tricky. Those are some of the worst. Because, like you said, if you're a dick in life, you're going to be a dick in death. What's going to change? You know? And these are people that like to stir the pot. These are people who like to stir trouble. And not only, and I believe that they even go as far as damaging relationships between spouses, between parents and their children. And they just like destruction. So I feel like they were just very destructive in life. And you're right, it's totally different. It's very borderline. I mean, but from demonic to that, huge difference though, right? Because these people are just jerks. But they are down, dirty, low, cause issues, follow you home. You know, these are the ones that follow you home and stir a bunch of shit going on in your life, and then poof, then they're gone. And so they just threw the match on the fire and walk away, kind of thing. I don't like those hauntings at all.
So my best story that I tell a lot about a malicious spirit is, and it was kind of cool because it's a location that a lot of people hadn't gone to, but the SOS had actually been there. Actually got investigated like 3 times. And, you know, they were right there beside me, so it's kind of cool. But it was a location called known as the Hotel Metropolitan.
Oh, okay.
And it was actually shut down a couple of times because of how violent the haunting was. The last time, apparently, it's being shut down for good. But their claim to fame to get people.
Where was this at?
Yeah, it's the one with the ghost bite. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's their claim. I actually got a bite mark. So, but anyway, the malicious spirit that we was dealing with was a guy that lived there. So, you know, like I tell people all the time, you have to realize 2 things about this location. One, it's called a hotel, but it's not really a hotel. It's a transit hotel.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a Hilton or something. You know, it's a transit hotel. And the other thing is, the people want it to be violently haunted. I mean, you know, they still have the bloodstained mattresses from the suicides. They still the guy the malicious spirit that we dealt with the most. He actually he lived there. And like I said, if you were asshole when you're alive, you're gonna be asshole when you was dead. Yeah. He actually ran prostitutes in and out of the hotel, and he drunk himself to the point he hung himself in the closet. So you know he's just not a good guy. So anyway, we were switching rotations. Me and the guys were upstairs, and the girls were downstairs. And something told me to just let the girls know that the spirit did not like females. Oh. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. If I don't warn you, I'm not doing my job as the lead investigator. So we switch, and my niece is on my team. You remember Jill that was with me this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay, Jill's daughter is my niece, and she's on our team too. And, and at the time, she was 19. She decided to use the prostitute angle.
Oh no!
To get the communication angle.
No. That's one place.
So this is still the best EVP I ever captured. It is a grade A EVP. It's just as clear as me talking to you. When she goes up there, she's like, "I'm 19 and cute. Can I get a job?" The response was $50 and free room.
Oh,
just like that.
Wow, that's awesome.
Then the spirit decided to get a little bit too frisky with Jill.
Yeah.
And then the spirit decided to grab Tiffany by her female area. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I didn't do the investigation because it was a safety issue.
Yeah, wait a second. Time out. We're not playing.
All right, we got a question. Are we ready?
Yeah.
It's from Jason McCrae. Jason says, "What's the difference between a malevolent and a demonic is it the belief in religion? Yes and no.
Yes and no. Yeah.
Yes and no.
Demonic is a lot deeper than.
For some reason, everybody always wants to make demonic a religious issue, and it's really not. Demonic reports of demonic activity actually goes back to Aztec days. But
it does.
Yeah,
it does. And malevolent and demonic are, to me, two totally different things. Malevolent, a non-demon, just a person can be malevolent. A spirit can be malevolent, whereas demonic goes much, much deeper, much, much farther back in history.
So I was actually talking to a friend that I went to high school with. I graduated high school with the other. He has this friend, and she lives not too far away. He's like she's going to reach out to your house because she's got 2 demons in her house. Blah blah blah. I'm like, well, she might have activity, but I very seriously doubt it's demonic. He's like, how do you say that? I was like, well, there's rules to demonic activity. I'm like, you have to remember, I am, I'm trained in demonology studies under Bishop Long, So I was like, the first thing we have to realize is demons were never human.
No.
That's the first thing we have to realize. And he got offended. He's like, hey, why do you say that? In the Bible, it says that half the angels became demons. I was like, yes, angels were never human either. I'm like, don't argue with me if you're not prepared for the argument. I'm like, So I mean, that's the first thing. I mean, you can say the same thing about relevant. I don't. I'm one of the strange people, I guess, because I consider myself a born-again Christian, but I'm still an investigator.
Right.
I know that puts me in the minority, but to me, my gifts, and we know what my abilities are. We actually got to see them last weekend a little bit. My gift to be able to see and communicate with the spirits, or a gift from God. That's the way I view it. It's a gift from God, and He wants me to use them.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, especially living down the buckle of the Bible Belt where I live, in the city I live in. This is the international headquarters for Church of God. So you can imagine some of the pushback I get from people here, just because it's dead set against their belief system. And I understand. I was raised Methodist. I get it, but I don't see what we're doing is wrong. I don't see.
Right. Well, the thing is, I share this a lot, and I probably shared it with you this past weekend. Now, growing up, not only in the Bible Belt, but in the heart of the Bible Belt, when I started using my abilities, really, I was probably like 12 or 13 when I decided to publicly out myself, if that's the term you want to use. It's kind of messed up to have to use that term. So I was probably like 12 or 13 when I out myself. And back then I used to get a whole lot, oh, you're a tool of the devil, blah, blah, blah. What I always thought was interesting is I also have a Bible degree. So I didn't then, but I do now. But, what I think is interesting is people always try to use Ezekiel to argue against paranormal investigating. So they try to use the King James Version. And the King James Version, which everybody has realized, the King James Version is a paraphrased translation.
Yeah.
We understand. So a paraphrased translation for the people out there in the peanut gallery, that means that somebody reads the Latin version and makes it loosely translates it into English based on how they think it sounds cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what paraphrase.
Yeah.
So, and King James wanted his Bible to sound like a Shakespeare play. That's why we have a lot of the thous and don'ts. So anyway, Ezekiel, the verse today, the verse in the King James translation says, "Thou shalt not speak with the dead, with the living dead, because you do not know if they're good or bad."
Right.
But the Lad translation, they leave out a couple of very important phrases in the translation. The Latin version, and for everybody that wants to know, I have some of you already know, I have 2 Bible degrees from Louisville Bible College, theology and theological studies. So, I'm not talking out of my ass here. So, the Land translation says, "Do not talk to the living dead unless you are trained, because you don't know if they're good or evil." So that phrase, they left out that phrase, and that's a very important phrase.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's get on to it.
They're part of the team.
Let's get on to our next question for Damien. Damien says, "How do you feel spirits know personal information about investigators? Do they learn it from other spirits, or do you think they hear our thoughts?"
Well, it depends. I mean, if you walk into a place, I don't know. I mean, I really don't have the answer for that. They learn your name from just listening, right? So who's to say you didn't say something to somebody there about maybe your kid or a situation with a parent or something like that? Who's to say the spirits aren't listening? They listen all the time. So either that, or they might. I do believe that there is for lack of better words, like a super vein that they can travel through, and maybe they've been at other locations. Just because they're at this location doesn't mean they weren't at the other location last time you were there. And a lot of people think that if it is demonic, they're going to know more about you naturally. I'm not quite sure why. I really don't have an answer for that, but I do believe that I don't think they can hear your thoughts.
So this is a pseudoscience.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that term. This is a pseudoscience.
But it is.
It is. I mean, I'd rather just be called a science, but that probably ain't going to happen in my lifetime. So we have to understand, and I know all of us do, but so by theory, and everything's a theory.
Mm-hmm.
Spirits, ghosts, whatever term you want to use, is energy. They're manifested energy.
Mm-hmm.
So by theory, they communicate with radio waves, all that stuff. So there's really no telling how they know stuff about us. I mean, they've been around. They've been around longer than we have. So that's kind of like the old question. Why do we think
something like maybe they can read energy off of you? I don't know. There's so many, like you just said that they've been here for years and years, and
I think it's important.
Know more things on the other side than we do here. So
I think
that's a really tough.
I think it's important. Like if we're talking with a spirit and they do say something that's personal, that we verify it with more than one piece of equipment. Just like if they say her name, make sure that they're actually saying her name. It's to be like, can you repeat that? Right. Because they may be talking about a completely different Aaron. They may be talking about a completely different Kent. Yeah, right. We don't know.
No.
So, all right. So this. Well, we didn't get to last. We'll go back to the last the speed round. So let's talk about demonic hauntings.
Okay.
So we talked a little bit about it.
Those are the worst. That's the worst. I'm just going to tell you. I had a demonic attachment for years, and it was torture. It was absolute torture. So those are the worst kind of hauntings, and they know how to get your number. They know how to crawl inside of your mind and just figure it out. And they know your fears, and they know, I don't know how, but they do. And they know your fears, and they know your hates, and what triggers sadness in you. And they like that energy, right? So they like to feed off of that kind of energy. I'm sure there's spirits that like to feed off of laughter. That's what our team does. We laugh. We inject laughter into investigations, because when you're investigating, sometimes you have these moments where things are very dull and very quiet. So you have to laugh about it, and you have to make fun and inside jokes, and those are the good ones. But the demonic, they can really screw up a lot in your life.
I like the fact that you said that they're the worst kind of hauntings.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think we can definitely not deny demonic hauntings.
Mm-mm.
Uh, it's not like it is on YouTube or TikTok where everything's
No,
demonic.
like the movies. It's really not like they're not going to pick
So
you up and shake you upside down and drop you on your head. They're,
so
they're
so I
never.
am. I got my pretty little certificate in demonological studies, from the old Catholic Church or whatever. And so obviously I can't deny uh, demonic hauntings, but people have to understand that's the minority. You're talking about like less than 1%. You know, all these people running around yelling demon on Facebook and stuff. They just want more likes on Facebook. It's not real. We got the Spice Girls of the paranormal field running around. I'm not even going to mention the names. I think we all know who I'm talking about.
Oh my.
Uh,
I mean, yeah, but people
yeah,
do like people. I mean, and that's a lot of clickbait on YouTube. A lot of these YouTubers, which listen, I get it. They're going out there. They're in these places. Whether they fake evidence or not, I mean, that's not up to me to determine. But they do use the name demon as clickbait, and it's really irritating because, like you said, it's a very small percentage of demonic. Whenever you come into a haunting, it's a very small percentage that's actually demonic. So, but God bless, those are the worst. Those are the ones that'll just tear you down. They tear you down. That's terrible.
Damien, I like 80 tracks. Come on now.
Oh, come on. 80s music is good. That's some good stuff.
So I want to get to the next speed round because in
Mhm.
the next speed round we talk about different kinds of locations.
Okay.
I want to get this one because after this we are going to talk about the shrine, and
Yes.
the
Yes.
shrine doesn't fall into any of these categories.
Yes.
So, but I want so so does anybody want to guess who I'm talking about when I say the Spice Girls, the paranormal film? Damien, you can't guess. You're the one who I stole this from. So, but yeah. So, um, before I get started, what do you think about it? A certain group charging $60 at at the Smoky Mountain Terror just for a poster.
You know what? I
Okay,
went.
moving on.
I spent $60 for my husband to get Dermot Maloney's signature, and I was my husband's hero. So, so
Hey, if
I
they
paid
they,
$60.
they were nice to me. I don't know if it was like professional or courtesy, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, they took pictures of me and everything without charging me. I did think that was a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, but
you
I
know
just
what
want a big picture with
I
Jeremy.
was most surprised about at the Smoky Mountain Terror. It was kind of humbling. I was surprised about how many people actually already knew who I was.
That's really big. That's a big deal, Ken.
Because I'm a
You've
nobody,
been,
so
you've been in this field for years. So, when you do this for so many years, you're running across their path. They're gonna remember you. You're one in a million.
Okay, so here we go. Speed round number 2.
Okay.
So for this purpose, when I say like a hospital, that's different than asylum. If I say a jail, that's different than a prison.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So let's start out with cemeteries.
Okay. What do I think of cemeteries?
Yeah, have you investigated a cemetery? What do you think about investigating cemeteries?
Yes. As a
Blah
matter
blah
of
blah.
fact, my brother had a fiance who passed away. Actually, the day he proposed to her, she died on Valentine's Day, no less. Tragic. Okay. And my mother and I actually went to the cemetery to where she was buried, and we brought out the phasma box, and she came through, and it was her voice. I mean, we love this girl. She was an angel, but it was her voice, and that got me. Because before then, I thought, well, I mean, why would a spirit be showing up at where they were buried. They had nothing to do with it. So why would they show up? So I'm still kind of conflicted about that. But I do know that her voice came through the Phasma box as if she was standing in front of me. And she said she missed us. And that got us
I'm
going.
kind of, I'm pretty much the same way. I'm not anti-cemetery, but I'm not a cemetery person. Because to me, like you said, they didn't live there, they didn't die there. There's no connection there.
No.
You know, if they're coming, if somebody's not passing over or whatever, they're not going to go to a cemetery. They're going to go back to their home or
Right.
whatever. So, but with there are exceptions. Damien
Damien,
said there.
and Damien just said, I agree with that. Every grave has a story to tell. Now that was very well.
There's exceptions. Like we have a cemetery down here that we go to at least once a year. Mm-hmm. But it was a Civil War battlefield. It was a Civil War basic training camp before it became a cemetery.
Oh wow!
So 5,000 soldiers died there before they even went to battle. They died of meningitis, smallpox.
I can see how that could be haunted. I mean, definitely with them dying there. Yeah.
So yeah, that's cemeteries, and I agree with Damon. Every mm-hmm. grave can't have a story, but I personally feel, and this is just me personally, I'm not telling people not to do cemetery. Jill, that was with me this weekend, she mm-hmm. loves cemeteries, but to me, unless I've been invited, unless I'm communicating with a specific spirit, I feel like I'm intruding on their privacy, their privacy, their happy place. So
I can see that. I can see that. But then again, I mean, maybe they're also on the flip side, maybe they're
let's talk about
they're just seeing who's coming to visit, right? I mean, what if they're like, I'm gonna stop by the graveyard and I'm gonna see if anyone's here to visit me today. Oh, look what you've got.
So let's talk about schools.
Huh?
What do you think about schools?
Schools carry a lot of energy. And so remember at TerraCon or at Smoky Mountain Terror, how you and I were talking about energy and how it's stored. And in school, kids put off so much energy that does it turn into its own entity? Does all of this collective energy become its own entity, or is it just energy from the years of children passing through and bullying and at like baseball games, football games, volleyball games, basketball games, all that energy, where does it go, right? So I do believe that schools can be very haunted.
So at schools, like you said, there's a possibility of it because there's so much activity. Mm-hmm. The problem you have to watch at schools, though, is you have to be able to separate like the urban legends from what actually happened. Because every school
that had the kids murder them in the boiler room. It's not always like that. It doesn't happen.
Every school in every town, somebody commit suicide in the bathroom.
Yeah, I know. Right?
Yeah. I mean, So yeah, I mean, or friends in spy schools.
Why does the woman always have to be wearing white?
Our friends in spy schools at the paranormal field have a school you can visit for a couple $100. But anyway, so my school, my old high school, mm-hmm. which is not even a high school anymore, I would love to have the opportunity to investigate it because it was the place of the first big high school shooting before Columbine.
Oh yeah.
I graduated from Heath High School in West Paducah, so it was the first one, then Columbine, then every other one. So yeah. And so I think it would have some. It may almost be too personal for me though, because I actually knew the shooter and the victims, and
that's awful.
Yeah. So anyway,
sorry.
It's still a hard time. Every December, every year December 1st, I'm pretty well. Yeah. But so let's just skip on and talk about the shrine. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds good to me. I'm good with that.
So I'm going to let you attempt to describe the shrine to everybody.
Okay. The Euro Shrine is located in Bristol, Tennessee. It is it is a specially curated place. This is a place that is a playground for the dead. They can come and go as they please. There's only a few resident spirits that are there full time. So it's kind of like a train station for spirits. So every time you come here, you're going to be in contact with someone different. It's This place has its energy of its own energy. You walk in and you can feel it. You can feel the buzzing in the air. Rick, the owner, he is saturated in Japanese culture, and he's a Shintoist. And he's kind of the gatekeeper between the living and dead there. Um, he does live on the premises, but there is downstairs there is a the Tengu forest, which is amazing. It's a bamboo forest, and there are plenty of spirits that like to linger around in there and talk with you. And then, of course, you know the tree with the headstone that's there. That's not an actual. Nobody's actually buried right where that headstone is. It is somebody's real headstone, but that tree is beautiful. And then you have the One Gate with all of the gargoyles. So if you look up pictures of the Yura Shrine, you're going to see the One Gate with the gargoyles. The gargoyles are actually there to protect the spirits from us. So this place is all about balance. You also have, let's see, you also have the grotto. You have the meeting room with the dragon table that's close to 7,000 pounds. And then you have the Covenstead. Um, and there's so many haunted items that are here because there's a lot of people who don't know what to do with haunted items. They know they don't want them anymore. They know that it's not safe to burn a haunted item, to throw out a haunted item, to give it to somebody irresponsibly. So they tend to hand these to Rick. I have given several items to Rick. Um, so it's a place for beautiful haunted items. So you also have attachments with those, with dolls. There's a doll Marcellus that's new to the shrine, and every night around 9 o'clock, she's in this glass case, and every night around 9, 10 o'clock, she puts off this putrid smell. I mean, it really smells like somebody hasn't washed their ass for about a month. It's really bad. Um, it's awful, and it's amazing because then it fades away. Probably about 2, 3 o'clock, it's gone. So from about, we'll say 9 to 3 is basically when this doll stinks. Um, this place protects itself, and it protects other people from coming for whatever reason. It doesn't mean that they have ill intent. It could mean they have ill intent. But if you're not meant to be at the shrine, you're not going to go to the shrine. You're going to have a breakdown, like the car is going to break down or blow out of a tire, or you're going to have to cancel your trip because everybody starts freaking out about it. And maybe that just means it just wasn't meant to be in that moment for one reason or another. And you just have to trust that and then try again to come back. But this place, God, I wish I could put it all into words. It just, we have talked to so many different spirits there. I can't really explain it in words. It's so hard right now because I love it. I mean, you feel alive there. You feel like you're a part of something bigger than you, something much larger than just here and now. And so, I mean, everybody who goes there tends to have a great time, and they find really good evidence, and they have a lot of experiences. There's a lot of touching. They like to touch a lot there, especially around the ankles. They like to get around your ankles and kind of make you a little uneasy. There's one spirit there in particular that he is a resident spirit. He lives there all the time. And he tends to make, yeah, Audra said get sick. Yeah. Oh yeah, you'll get sick. That's right. We had somebody get sick. Actually in the shrine, she crossed over the Torii gate, the front doors, and instantly fell sick. She had to leave and sleep in a car. She was non-functional because the shrine shut her down. Um, it's special. The Ouija board. They even have a Ouija board from Nathan White. He's a serial killer, and he's actually still alive in prison on death row in New York City. Yes, Audra's right. All spirits are welcome, good and bad. So that is one thing to keep in mind. That when you go to the shrine, you don't try to pass them over. You don't try to cross them over. You don't try to smite a demon and keep them away, because this is common ground for everybody, living and dead, good and bad. The spirits, good and bad, we don't judge them while we're there. We're just there for communication purposes. So this is the uniqueness. There's a lot of places that are scared to say anything about demons. They're scared to say anything that there's something demonic there, and they're like, no demons are here. Don't say that. But this place has demons too, and we're fine talking about it because it's just a part of the shrine. It's.
So yeah, before I say anything else, I want to remind everybody that anybody that's watching us and get on it, in 5 minutes you're going to lose connection. So you need it. If you want to stay with us, switch over to YouTube. Otherwise, you can just watch the rest of it on replay. So I've been trying to get down to the shrine for a while, as we know, but
or another, you weren't able to make it down there until last weekend, right? I take that as a sign that was the weekend you were supposed to be there.
So this weekend I finally had the opportunity. It was more of a public investigation, which I don't typically do because just because. And but it was still a good experience. I was really glad I went. Before we even get into details about what happened, we got to talk just about some of the awesome artifacts, I guess, that's there. From the doors to the Ouija board. I don't know.
The coconut.
Let's start with the coconut. You want to start with the coconut?
Let's start with the coconut. So this coconut, it's a coconut with little shells for eyes and little, you can look it up on their Facebook page or on the Tennessee Shadows Facebook page. We've got pictures of it. This coconut, you don't want to touch it, because if you touch it, you are going to have to bring it weekly offerings of tobacco and alcohol, clear liquor. This is in direct ties to Papa Legba. So it's not to be taken lightly. And I know I'm smiling about it, but because I'm used to being around it. But there's a lot of people that try to touch things here. There's some things that just shouldn't be touched. And that's the number one thing you should never touch is the coconut. It was given to Rick, and he didn't think it was a cursed object. This is actually a cursed object. So it's not just haunted, it's cursed. I mean, it'll flip your world upside down until you start giving it offerings if you've touched it. So definitely touch the coconut.
So we got a question. I mean, I can answer it, but you can elaborate if you want to. Audrey asked if it was still an active location and still having rituals. Yes, in both cases.
Yes, they do. So there are 13 different religions that are practiced there actively still to this day. The shrine is just not a vacant building. This is something that is actively used every single day. You have the witches' circle outside in the Tengu forest that's used by witches, and they have meetings there. So it's actively used. So it's still in the process of 13 different religions can practice there. I'm not saying that they do anything like there are rituals, but there's not like live sacrifices and stuff like that. It's not like, they're not sitting there cutting chickens' heads off and stuff. but it is, yes, still a very active location with the living and the dead and the angelic and the demonic.
Okay, so back to the coconut. Yeah. So this coconut, like you said, it really looks like something you'd buy like on a beach side, one of those little, like a seashell shore.
It does.
So the story I like is the one like Chris from Old South Pittsburgh. He swears that thing caused him bad luck for months. So 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 the coconut's cool. That's why we have the don't touch the coconut shirt. So
Yes, that's
let's talk.
exactly what.
So let's talk about the Ouija board.
Okay, so the Ouija board. Nathan White was a serial killer. Out of I'm not sure where. I know he's in New York right now on death row. I'm not sure where the murders happened, but he would consult the Ouija board, and the Ouija board would tell him who to murder. And he happened to murder a bunch of hookers, but he is still alive. But that Ouija board and all that energy that went into that Ouija board, um, it's at the shrine, and we use it.
Uh, So it's
I mean,
just the Parker Brothers.
yeah.
It's just the Parker Brothers.
Mhm,
It's just the Parker Brothers Ouija board.
mhm,
You would think it would be like a custom made or something like that. But I mean, when I saw it at the table, and we'll talk about the table in a minute. But
yeah.
when I so
Yeah.
much to talk about. So
Yeah.
when I saw this board, I was like, it's just a Parker Brothers board. You
Yeah.
know, and, I don't want to skip too far ahead of the story, but I did get to use the Ouija board during
Yeah.
the investigation. Matt actually called me out. I was just trying to take everything in, and Matt and Jimmy kept calling me out because they knew it's me. and,
Yeah.
so so I actually got to use the Ouija board. The most interesting things that happened was was it asked us what his name was, and it was random. It didn't really some random. The initials might mean something, but nobody it didn't connect with anybody. So Matt told me just keep playing with it and see if it spelled out anything, and it spelled out be aware, not be afraid, but be aware, which are
Beware.
two different things. So that was kind of interesting. And then when Matt broke out his box, and I love his box. When he
Uh,
broke out his box, he was asking questions, and he asked the spirit. What was it attached to, and
and
the Ouija board
yeah.
spit out doll,
Yeah.
DOL.
Well, now, so they have, was this in the grotto?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that doll, Sally, there's Sally the doll in the scrying room with the coffin. Yeah, with the articulating arm and the dark pope charm on her hand. Um, you gotta watch out for that girl. She's feisty. So yeah, they were probably warning you about Sally.
So yeah, so let's talk about the table.
Okay, so the table is almost 7,000 pounds. I don't know the exact weight. I know it's close to 7,000 pounds, but it's got layers of concrete. This table is nobody can pick it up. There are layers in this table. So they laid down some concrete, and let's say the witches put artifacts, witchy things from their religion in it, and then in the concrete, and then it dried. And then they put another layer of concrete. And while it was still wet, the necromancers came in, and the necromancers put their stuff in there, and then it dried. And so they did seven, I think it was 7 layers. Um, and if Audra is watching, she can correct me on this if I'm wrong. But they put 7 layers. Um, yeah, 7 layers. And then there are giant concrete kind of podiums underneath the table as well for the remaining 6 religions. And there's also magnetite in this table. It's got dragons coming up and out. There's spots for water. There are areas for fire. Everything in the shrine is completely balanced out, specifically placed for north, south, east, and west. Everything has a very specific place for balance. Because once something is off balance there, and it could be somebody brought in a haunted artifact, a haunted doll, a haunted picture, whatever the case may be. It could be a pencil, whatever's haunted they brought in, it's going to shift the energy. So everything's supposed to be balanced. So it gets shifted. And then things are off for a while until Rick can go in and do his, because he does morning rituals and he does evening rituals every single day here since he is the gatekeeper and he's the caretaker here. And so he has a huge responsibility to make sure that the spirits, the demons, the angels, that they are very well balanced. They count on him to do this. So that is, that's the table. They have meetings around it weekly, and it's the most amazing table I think I've ever seen in my life. It's beautiful.
So it's important for everybody to understand that all these things are at the shrine because it's a safe place for them. So we've talked. So now we can't talk about the haunted artifacts at the shrine without talking about the doors. There's lots of doors there.
Yeah,
lots of doors. So
yeah.
So
actually, I brought see this little girl over here, right there. I brought her to the shrine, and I left her there for quite some time to pick up a few tricks and learn a few things before I brought her back home. So she came back home with me after the VIP event.
we had an interesting experience with the I can't remember her name, but the one in the coffin. So I actually got a picture, Sally. I asked permission.
Yeah.
I asked permission. She gave me permission. I actually took 2 back-to-back pictures. And one picture, her arm was up.
Yeah.
And the second picture, her arm was down.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And then my group started out outside, but when we came inside and we finally got into the room, there with the fountains or whatever you want to call them, the water. The one girl kept trying to do she kept trying to do, and Sally kept trying to open the door, like she was leaning against the door, and the door kept trying to come open. So
she's very, very powerful. And when Rick had to show me how to get respect to get permission and respect to touch her. And I got her permission, but then after I touched her once or twice, she was done with me. She was like, don't. She literally came across the fastener box and said, don't touch me. No, okay. No problem. Permission.
I found it. What I found the most interesting, just doing the walkthrough, besides the table's amazing. Was that we had hot water and cold water because they had to neutralize each other. Yeah, you had to have that harmony. You
do.
So
you have
anyway,
the moving water and the cold water because there's that fountain there's that water fountain, and then around the cold water pool is the still water pool. So it looks like that. It just goes on the outside, and then you also have the hot water, and the cold water pool is at the west gate, which is where a lot of the activity comes from. The west gate is very important there, so a lot of things can come in, and the water's there for a reason. It's not there for good looks. It's not. It's there for many, many different reasons. There's many little secrets here at the shrine, and there's so many sigils everywhere you look. Just once you go, look up, look down, look all around, you're going to see things. Every time you go, you're going to see different things that have been there that you just didn't pay attention to. It's a place. Once you go, you crave it and you want to keep going back. It's the best.
So let's back up. We did a little tour inside. I think everybody's kind of got a feel of what we're dealing with. Because it's you can't really describe the shrine. You just have to experience it. But let's start outside. So like I said, my group, my team, we started outside, and we started around the witches' circle. That's where we started. And the only part of the whole night that I was disappointed in is I didn't get to take my own equipment in.
I knew I had to watch your equipment for you.
And I understand that. Most of the people that was with me was a novice investigator, so we didn't want them
confused.
But but that's okay. So we get there, and Jimmy and them they're doing a Estes method display, whatever you want to call it. It was actually one of the best public demonstrations of this method I've ever seen. Well, while they was doing their thing, I got drawn over on my own to the edge of the bamboo woods, like not where the witch's grave was, but not where, but kind of in between. Kind of where that's big. And for some reason, and I don't know how everybody else does it. I guess it's different for everybody. But when I'm communicating with the spirits, I kind of get in. I sit down like Indian style, and I kind of go into like a trance, whatever you want to call it. So that's what I did. Of course, Jill was used to this, but everybody else was like thinking I don't know what they was thinking. So everybody kept trying to check on me, and they kind of interrupting my connection. But only thing I got that whole time was I got a name. I got Elizabeth. That was all I got.
Well,
so then
a very poignant name that you got. She went by Lizzie, but Elizabeth. That's it. It was amazing that you got that correlation, and you had no idea. You had no idea the correlation that you got. Is that when you came back in and sat around the fire? That's when it hit you so hard, isn't it? Yeah.
So I rejoined the circle. And Jimmy had been trying to get me to be on the headphones during the Estes method, which I try to avoid that, even in my own investigations, because everybody tries to communicate with me.
Oh yeah.
And that's what happened. I got overwhelmed, and I actually had to throw off the headset because I have no idea what I said. But apparently, I said, "I am Elizabeth." Really, really affirmative. Like really,
really.
And as I said that, Josh Morris actually captured a picture of what like a light phenomena coming out. And at that point, as you guys know, I actually had to leave I had to leave for a few minutes and come back and recenter. And that's why I got this beautiful stick.
Yes, you did. That's pretty special. Yeah. He deliberately sought you out to give you that. Rick did. He takes very, very good care of the living and the dead there. He takes his job very responsibly.
I mean, I can't say it's the first time that's ever happened to me, but it's the first time in an event. They definitely wanted to communicate, and they knew that they could communicate with me.
Yeah.
But communicating all at once doesn't really work for any of us. So
yeah.
But it was a good experience. I can't wait to get back. I got the dice invitation, so I will be coming back soon. So
yeah, you did. Now
what everybody out there in the peanut gallery needs to understand is the shrine is a special place, and you can only go to it by invitation or through
the
Tennessee Shadow Chasers. So and for some reason, a lot of people are afraid of the shrine, but there's no reason to be afraid of it.
Absolutely no reason to be afraid. It's not. It's so special. It's such a special place to where you can freely communicate with things that other places won't let you even talk about. And I can't stress that enough. Like I said, Rick takes his position at the shrine as the gatekeeper, for lack of better words, very, very seriously. He has curated this space specifically for spirits to reside and to come and go and to talk with the living. Because as much as we want to talk to them, they still want to talk to us too. So this is the perfect location to do it. And so the Tennessee Shadow Chasers, you can reach out to us through Facebook, through WhatsApp. Message us on Facebook. That's easy. But it's $280 for an investigation. And it's just $100 deposit. And then $180 when you get there. You can pay in cash. And so you get it from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. That's a long time. And if you want us to investigate with you, let us know. We'll bring our equipment in and we'll investigate with you. If you don't, we'll sit around the fire, be quiet, and you guys go about your way. You investigate, just we ask that anybody who come in respect things. Don't be picking things up and moving them around. You get a tour, you get permission, of what you can touch and what you can't touch. And as long as you're respectful and you're not goading and you're not like poking the bear, so to speak, you're going to have a great time. You're going to come away with a whole new perspective, because as soon as you cross over the Tory gate, it.
So yeah, I mean, it's a place that needs to be respected, but that's every place. That's really, to me, that's really how you should go into any investigation. You have to respect the living, the non-living, the location, everything. I tell people all the time, we have to realize when we go into this location, we're really trespassing on the spirit's place.
Yes, I could not agree more. Yes. And
they've
that's
been there longer than we have.
You go into a place to go ahead and you say, "Hi, I'm Erin. Thank you so much for letting me in your space." Just because how would you treat somebody if you were in your home and they were living? It's no different with the dead. Oh, yes, Audra, thank you. This is why. This is why. Yes, we also do offer additional services through rituals and seances. So if you're interested in more than just a ghost hunt and you want to do a ritual or you want to do a seance with somebody who does them all the time, you can add that into your ghost hunt for just a small fee.
So yeah. I mean, that's how I investigate. It's all. I'm just having a conversation with the spirit. That's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's awesome. They offer rituals and seances. I mean, whatever's needed is all it takes. So I spent my birthday this year at the Monroe House.
Okay.
So, some people might think I'm strange, but for me, that's the perfect place to spend your birthday. I mean,
yeah.
So yeah.
The demon house.
So it was different.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, it was a lot longer trip than I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
I probably drove as far to the Monroe House as I did down to the Smoky Mountain Terror. So it was a 6.5, 7 hour drive.
Yeah.
And so my birthday's in January. And
nice.
That was right after they had the big snow. Some of the roads were still iced over, and so we get there, and it's just a house. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah.
But I got some of the best communication.
That doll room's creepy.
You got some of the best communication there. Like, so we started the investigation technically on the 18th. My birthday is technically the 19th. So
investigating when the clock ticks over to midnight.
So at midnight, when it actually became my birthday, I decided I was going to do a solo down in the basement, because the basement is where the demonic spirit's supposed to be. So I go down there and I'm doing this solo, and and I got my of course we're videotaping and audio recording, and I got my Paratech and I got my Apple box. So I'm just talking to the spirit, trying to hear their story, So I stood out, with did you die here? Simple question, and the answer I got was yes. So
wow.
So then I was like, okay, did you die in the house? Because that's at the Monroe House. That's important because they don't know if it's. So the response I got was yes. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was like, thank you for communicating with me. I was like, let's talk some more. I was like, can you tell me how you died? I was like, were you physically killed? Were you beat to death, strangled? And the response I got was no. So I was like, okay. I was like, were you shot by? Were you killed by a gun? Were you shot? And the answer I got was no. So at this point, And I actually said this. You go back and watch the video. My response was like, okay, I'm a little bit confused now.
Right.
I was like, you said you died in the house.
You're
Yes,
right.
but you wasn't physically killed or killed by a gun. I was like, yes. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm going to put the ball in your court now. I was like, can you tell me how you died? And then on the paratech, I got fire.
Burned to death?
Fire. That's one word, fire. Which which is interesting because you as you know, the row house actually burned down at least 5 times.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So that was kind of a cool moment. And
okay.
another thing I learned at the row house though, we're always learning in this field. I've been doing it for 35 years and I'm still learning.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's never going to be an end date for learning.
well, I tell people all the time in this field, you're either green and growing or you're ripe and rotting, and I don't want to be rotting, so I'm going to keep learning. So,
Yeah, right.
one of my team members, they brought a Periscript with them. They
Mhm.
just bought it, and so of course I use the Paratech. You guys saw it, my little box. I love it. I've used it for a year and a half now, and it got good results with it. Well, we thought that the Periscript and the Paratech would probably work good together because it's the same technology. Well, the
Oh, yeah.
Periscript started just randomly saying words, so we ended up just turning it off. I
Yeah.
was like, I was like, I was like, we may be able to set that up at another investigation, but I'm not wasting my time at the row house to set up your equipment. So, but so anyway, let's go back to our speed round since we talked about the shrine.
Okay.
I just wanted to get the shrine in there. I
Oh,
want to get
listen,
I
I mean,
want
the world. I want the world to experience the shrine because there's nothing like it. You will never find. There's not. It's not a house. It's not a. It's not a jail. It's not a hospital. It's nothing like that. It's specially curated. It's this beautiful, beautiful, magical place that everybody needs to experience. I'm so passionate about it. I just. I mean, I geek out when I talk about the shrine because this place is so
the,
important.
re- the reason I did it when I did it is because I knew we was getting ready to lose to get haunted people, so I wanted to do it when we had no audience.
Yeah.
So Andrea says she spent hers at the Scott County Jail. I love the Scott County Jail. I've been there. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, Miranda and Chris. Mwah,
I actually went with
good job.
I actually went with Night Song Paranormal. Barb and them. That's who
Mhm.
I went with. It was awesome.
Oh, that's
It,
nice.
it was one or two locations we did together. So
Yeah, it's that place is really cool. Audra, we threw Audra a haunted birthday party there. So we spent her birthday there together. It was a great time. We've been there several
okay,
times.
so let's get into some of my more controversial questions I like to ask.
Okay, yeah, I like those. I
let's
like
let's talk about the parapop culture. That's my word, parapop culture.
pop culture. Yeah,
You like that word?
yeah.
So obviously the parapop culture has good and they have bad. So
Mhm.
what do you think the good parts of the parapop culture is, and what do you think the bad parts of the parapop culture are?
I think the good parts are when it's not a collaboration. It's when teams get together. Some of these places are really expensive to get into. And so if you have a team of 5 or 6 people and you're going to haunted locations at least once a month with your team, you're having to shell out this money on your own. You're not, I mean, this is coming out of our own pockets because we all have full-time jobs. At least on my team, on our team, we all work. And we all have families and we all have things in our personal life that we tend to on the regular. So when you go to these places, it can be expensive. So sometimes you can go in with, I think we talked about, what did we talk about? It's in Louisville, Waverly. It's very expensive. So if you go in with another team, it's such a large location that if you go in and you guys respect each other and you kind of stay away from each other's groups, unless you want to investigate together, I mean, it can be a beautiful thing. It can be a really beautiful thing. So when you
So
get with your teams, and even when you do collaborations, as long as there's respect there between both teams, It's a beautiful thing. It's really nice. But the bad side of it is egos. Egos have no place in the paranormal. You know, there's so many people vying for attention. One person's more famous than this person, or I got more views than this person, or we're all in this to find answers. And it's a small enough subculture still. Um, I mean, it's of course it's more broadly respected, but it is still a subculture. And so there's so much drama that there's no time for drama. And we need to turn our attention back to the paranormal, not worry about your ego, not worry about who has the better stuff. You know, if we all just work together and we share evidence with each other and we don't like hoard information, we can really come up with a
So yeah, I mean,
of evidence together as everybody.
I agree with all that. So
Mm-hmm.
so to me personally, and I've shared this before, but like I said earlier, it's my show. I'm going to share it again. So to me personally, the parapop culture. I mean, it's definitely a two-edged sword. The way it's helped me, is it's more okay for me to discuss being a paranormal investigator now, being a clairvoyant. That's more open now. I still get some of the, oh, you worship the devil, but I also get some of the, oh, you mean like taps, and I'm like, okay. And so I'm not a big, I don't watch very many of the shows because we do it. So we watch a show and we're like, that's not how it really is. But
No.
what we have to realize, or what I don't have to realize, but what the people out there in the peanut gallery have to realize is, there are some legitimate investigators on TV. I mean, like Taps, especially in the beginning, I think they were, but we only see 40 minutes of a 3-day investigation. We just
yeah. So it
we
really puts people it puts them under the false pretense that
we see what the producer wants us to see.
Right. It doesn't work like that. We're not circus animals. They're dead.
So I got friends good friends that you have to consider para celebrities. I mean, I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody. But I have friends. Aaron Gavin Kelly's my friend. Aaron G. Thompson's my friend. Steve Gonzalez is my friend. They're actually friends. So but the thing is, so that's the good. The bad, like you said, is some people think they're entitled to stuff.
Yeah, there's no room for that. There's just no room for that. It just messes everything up. Come with no false pretense, come with an open childlike mind to investigation, and just relax and enjoy yourself and get into it and share your experience with other people. It's not about who's better than who. It's not that's when everything just kind of gets all muddled up a little bit.
It's not a competition. It's not about competition. It's about community. That's what I say all the time.
Community. It is about community. I should be able to reach out to you at any point in time during of course, not any point in time, but I should be able to reach out to you and be like, Ken, I'm thinking about going to this location. Did you ever go there? And you'd be like, oh yeah, I went there. And then you could share some stories with me. Or, that's how it should be. We should be able to reach out to other people and, not stress about, not turn it into high school. That's the best way.
So people ask me all the time, because I'm so old, I guess, and I've been doing this for so long. They ask me, what's the difference when I got in the field and what's the difference now? And what I tell them is when I first got into the field 30 some odd years ago, I was only like 2 back then. And, but anyway, when I got into the film, everybody was about community, about finding that breakthrough evidence, about helping each other. There was this competition is new. People that's been investigating around as long as I have, which is not many, but You know,
Come on now.
for some reason they think they have this spot. You know, they should have this spot, and it's not about this. You know, my spot's down here. I'm a nobody. I want to help everybody. I want to work with other teams. I want to train new people. You know that I don't get the competition. You know, the only time I'm going to call out somebody is if they're faking stuff,
Yes.
or if they're making it harder, or the real investigators. That's why I call out Sam and Kobe, the Spice Girls of the Paranormal Film, because they actually made my job harder. I have an actual story that goes with this. It's not just because I don't like them. I have nothing against them. I wish I had the money. You know? So, and at least they're able, at least that generation, like my kids' generation, at least they're talking about paranormal because Sam and Kobe. So that's a positive. The negative is that they say everything's a demon. So this is why it caused me personally a problem. Like I said, I don't talk to anybody. I don't talk about anybody, and this becomes a problem for me. And me and Project Fair actually just talked about this Saturday because you know the last video was with them, and I walked up to them and I was like, "I like you guys," but I was like, "I ain't so sure about your last video," and he's like, "That's fair." But anyway, so I went to Harriman Hospital.
Yes.
Last year, when they first opened it back up, we were the second team to get to go.
Oh, that's cool.
So we go, and it's a long drive for me. I'm talking about like a 6-hour drive, you know. So we get there, and we get there, and we start filling out the waivers, you know, blah blah blah, and we get to a new page. The guy they told us we have a new page. They're like, so the new page said that I could not release any of my videos until it was approved by the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me, they specifically told me it was because of Sam and Kobe. Because Sam and Kobe went there and did lives and was still saying everything was demon. So now I can't release my videos. So that's when I have a problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because Harriman Hospital, they've got there's nothing demonic at Harriman Hospital.
No, there's nothing demonic.
I would walk around Harriman Hospital alone, no problem. I've walked down hallways in the dark alone, which I do anyway, but that place, there's nothing but spirit.
Yeah. I mean, we got good evidence there, but there's definitely nothing demonic. I mean, not at Old South Pittsburgh, not at Harriman, not at either of them. So anybody that says there is, but again, so they also did the same thing at Ascot Hall in Franklin, Kentucky. Mm-hmm. They try to say it was demonic. I'm like,
no, it's not.
I'm like, no. So yeah, when you start doing stuff like that, I'm gonna call you out. That anybody cares because I'm a nobody, but I'm still gonna call you out.
That's right.
But you know, so going back to what's right.
Yeah.
This weekend at Smoky Mountain Terror and at the Shrine showed what was right. You know, people together, people promoting the paranormal, the real paranormal. That's the good stuff. You know, like I said, it was so humbling how many people already knew me. You know, I was actually surprised.
I met a lot of new people last weekend that I know of in the paranormal field, but I had never met them in person, and it was great. I had great experiences with everybody I came into contact with at Smoky Mountain Terror. It was great.
So apparently our first live from the Shrine, our first live from Smoky Mountain Terror has actually passed over 1,000 views already.
Really? Wow. That's really good. That's really good.
I'm a nobody.
Humble pie. I hear you. I'm a nobody too, though, so I get it.
I'm never going to be that guy who charges $60 for a photograph. I'm just not.
No, me neither. Although I did do that. I did spend $60 for it.
So you think we should share my exciting news to everybody?
Yes, I think you need to share it with everybody. Yes.
Okay. So for everybody out there, watching and listening to this later, uh, even though I had a lot of fun at Smoky Mountain Terror, it was really a working weekend for me. It was a lot of networking. I was exhausted. That was a lot of work on a broken foot. I'm telling you. But I did make some good connections, and Paranormal Addicts podcast is going to be joining the Scare Network as a streaming. So not only are we going to be with Get Haunted going live, but we will be part of the streaming network. I'm not sure why they want to put my radio face on TV, but hey, what can I say?
Oh, come on, Ken. You're fooling yourself. I think that's really exciting news. Congratulations. I love when people reach new levels. So that's a really big deal, Ken. That's great. Kudos to you. Congratulations.
I really am excited about it. I know I tried to downplay it, but I'm sure you and the other people could actually see my excitement.
Absolutely, as you should be. You should not hide that excitement. That's a big deal to be on Scare Network. Scare Network is it's a very well-respected network. Very well-respected network. So kudos to you. I'm so excited.
And the best part to the whole weekend to me is I made friends. I don't even consider you guys friends. You're part of my family now, part of my parent family.
Yep.
I'm not just you guys, but I mean you guys especially. But Jimmy, I had never actually met Jimmy till this weekend. We've been talking on the phone weekly. we have been talking on the phone weekly for about 6 months.
Right, yeah.
And same with Josh Morris. I had never met him. Actually, I got a funny Josh story. So okay. I have my event up here in Mayfield in September. So I thought I was pretty well booked, and Josh messaged me at 2:00 in the morning. Yeah. I don't sleep anyway because of my QR, but he messaged me and he was like, Kent? I was like, yeah. He's like, and you have to remember, I didn't really know Josh besides the Paraflex thing. I mean, he sent me a friend request like 2 days before, and then he messaged me at 2:00 in the morning, and he's like, I want to come to your event. I'm like, well, I'm already pretty well booked. I was like, but we can talk about maybe next year. But I was like, we need to talk about your parents' fee. I was like, because my event is a charity event. I was like, so we don't have these big budgets, He's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, I want to come to your event, no fee, just come to your event. So I was like, hey, I can't turn that down. So
no. And you're talking about Josh Purvis, right?
Yeah. So this year, Jimmy Wicker and Josh Morris are headlining my event.
Oh, I got you. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations.
It's September 27th.
Oh, that's great.
National Ghost Hunting Day. So anyway, why don't you tell everybody what you guys have going on, how to get a hold of you if they want to go to the shrine, all that stuff.
Okay. You can reach out to us. Mainly the 2 points of contact are through WhatsApp. And then it's through our Facebook page. So message us. And we have a little WhatsApp thing on the Facebook page too. So somebody give us, if we don't respond to you right away, give us about 30 minutes because we all do have full-time jobs, but we try to make ourselves available all the time. So reach out to us. It's $280 from 7 p.m. to 3 a.m. It's a $100 deposit. The other $180 can be paid in cash in person. You can have up to 6 or 7 people, I believe.
So what I got going on is next weekend we are investigating the Glen House in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and then it's an 1814 Spanish mansion.
Cool.
I've never been there, which is odd because it's only 30 minutes from my hometown. But actually, Jimmy and Dennis been there. They actually did an episode of it on Scare Network. So
cool.
So we're going to be doing that, and I'm actually collaborating with another team because we're supposed to community.
That's right. Right. Important.
So yeah, and then July 10th, I'm going back to Waverly Hills.
Oh wow. July?
Yep,
What's gonna be hot?
July 10th. So next
Oh,
year, Matt and SRS is actually going to join me in Waverly.
oh, that's gonna be great. And Matt's great. He SRS, good people.
Yeah, and I guess I'm officially part of the network now because they all have. I didn't know this until they showed me this. They all have the Viking symbol for protection tattooed somewhere on the body, and
Yeah.
I got my tattoo done Sunday at Smoky Mountain Terror.
Did you really? Oh, you did. Look at that. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. I like that.
I figured that would be better than having to carry protection all the time. Just wear it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
So,
good idea.
so let me ask a couple more questions, and then we'll let you off here. So, that conversation just reminded me of a question that I like to ask sometimes. So, uh, my team, me, because I uh, I make the rules for my team, I guess. So we're a big believer in protection.
Yeah.
We have my team's a large team, as we know. We've discussed this before. We have 15 members, and we come from all our backgrounds. We got Wiccan, we got Catholic, we got atheist, we got everything.
Yeah.
But when we get ready for an investigation, we always do a prayer of protection and communication before we go in,
Mhm.
and we always do a prayer of detachment before we
Mhm.
go out.
It's smart.
So what's you guys is how do you guys feel about protection, and what do you do for protection?
Well, a lot of times, I actually wear this. Um, I don't know if you can see that, but
I have one in black.
yeah.
It's
So
over there.
those are 7 archangels, and I always wear this. And then I also have this from the shrine that I like to wear that Rick gave me from the shrine.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so those are 2 things that I wear. I love sage, Palo Santo, and Florida water. Those are things that I use for protection. And then prayer. I'll say a prayer before an investigation to myself because, like you said, everybody carries different religions. Some are atheists, some are agnostics, some are Christians, some are Wiccans. I mean, the list goes on and on. So it's just whatever works for you. Protection is very important because the paranormal goes very deep in the spiritual world. And you don't always know what you're talking to, and you don't always know how it's going to affect you. I also like if I have trouble after an investigation and a spirit has followed me home, which doesn't typically happen, but if it does, and they are a sticky spirit, like they just won't go away, I will take a salt shower. I'll take a shower, but I will use kosher salt, rub it on me. I'll say the Lord's Prayer 3 times. That helps me as well. So there's just specific things that I like to use for me, and everybody's different, but I do think protection is very, very important.
So I think protection is very important. I actually got dirty looks at the shrine Saturday because when I was using the Ouija board, I actually removed my protection so I could get.
Well, I've done that before too in certain locations.
I know. It's okay. I live to tell about it.
Yeah, that's one of those things that you have to go with.
It was, but I understand my gift, and I understand. I have those barriers under my protection. My chain is a blessed chain, and it's there for extra protection when I need it. But sometimes, as you know, sometimes they keep spirits from communicating. So
yes. So sometimes if you feel
no, I don't recommend that to just anybody. Now,
No, and I would, especially novice investigators, especially investigators who are new. Um, I would keep your protection on you, and you don't have to go out and spend thousands of dollars. It can be whatever your belief system is. It can be as small as a pea, but it's very important. Now, as you progressively get into the paranormal and you start investigating, yes, if you feel that it's blocking communication and you're using your discernment in a wise manner, and you understand a little bit better, if you feel the need to take your protection off, that's on you. I mean, that's on you. You can't blame the location. You can't blame the spirits. You took your protection off. So if you do that, that's fine. Because I've done that before. Because like you said, sometimes it'll block them.
exactly.
Okay.
So the thing is, the worst experience I ever had, as far as like a physical attack,
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty much the same experience I had to try, except for this one was malicious. It wasn't, at the shrine, it was just too many people trying to communicate with it. So it's a residential case.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to go into very many details because
Yeah, because
at a residential case, we're there to help the family. It's not about likes or anything. But anyway,
right.
bottom line is the location ended up being active. I'll actually call it haunted because it was haunted. Actually being haunted because prior to the house being there, it used to be a church where the pastor was convicted of molesting children.
Mm-hmm.
And his spirit was there tormenting the little girl that lived there. He even outside the house, even at school. So
Awful.
so when we do a residential investigation, we have steps.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step is you do a phone interview with me.
Yeah.
And I actually have a form. My questions, and I ask questions exactly like they are on the form. I actually typed up and wrote the form myself. It's based on other teams, but it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then after I complete the phone interview, if I think there's actually activity and I think we can help, we do in-person interviews. And the in-person interview is a little bit different because I ask the same questions, but in the in-person interview, it's me, my two team leads,
Mm-hmm.
two other people, and
Mm-hmm.
the way it works is that at the in-person interview, Jill always goes with me. The one that was with me this weekend.
Yeah.
She's one of my team leads. She's always with me. So we my one team lead, he videotapes it, and Jill takes notes, and I
Yeah.
ask questions. And while the three of us are doing that, the other two members that we take with us, they do a mini investigation. You'll get like a baseline with the EMF and a baseline with the SLS, baseline with the thermal cap. Just get baselines and everything.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
That's a really good way to do that.
And that day, that time when we did the in-person interview, we made it to the gas station,
Mm-hmm.
and I was physically sick. I was vomiting.
Oh my God.
And, that's how much it affected me. I was like vomiting in the parking lot. So protection is important. That's all I'm saying.
Very, very, very important. Yeah,
So
don't take it lightly. Don't just walk into an investigation like locky dog. Nothing's gonna happen because you just don't know. That's a crapshoot. That's a gamble that you shouldn't be willing to take with your own protection.
and people say a lot of times you hear people say, "Oh, it's just a kid spirit." What you have to remember is a lot of times a demonic spirit takes the form of a kid to get your trust.
Yeah, and also this is a theory I have. Why? So say somebody dies in their 70s, and their happiest moment was when they were 16. Can they take the form of a 16-year-old, the 16-year-old them? I mean, so why couldn't they? I mean, you don't know. I mean, it could be a really rude, malevolent person that's pretending to be.
So I
For lack of
I
better
have a
word.
theory. an educated theory, I guess,
Okay.
educated guess, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But in all my years of investigating, uh, I've ran into a lot of children's spirits.
Yeah.
Probably more children than anything. And my theory, my research, whatever, I think that's because no matter what your religious belief or whatever, as adults, we always learn about crossing over, going into the light, that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. But kids don't understand that. We don't teach them that because we think they're going to live forever. So
Mhm.
that's kind of my theory. I mean, you can take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
But anyway,
You don't
thank you for your time,
about the paranormal. You
Killa.
catch up your opinions with other people. You can sit here and talk shop with other paranormal investigators, just like we're doing, and it's fun.
So, did you know I'm actually working on my first book?
No, are you really?
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me you need to write a book. You need to write a book. So I'm writing a book.
Good job. That's awesome. I'll read it. No problem.
The working title is "Don't Buy Generic Batteries," and it's probably not a demon. The memoirs of a paranormal investigator.
I love it. I love it. That's fantastic.
so I'm actually through like the first 6 or 7 chapters, which are basically just just the introduction into paranormal investigating. But I was told when I started writing the book to make sure my personality comes out in the book
Yeah.
because apparently people like my personality.
Yeah, you have a great personality.
Which I guess makes sense because I'm not much to look like. There has to be some reason for them to tune in. So, so anyway, so my personality's in it. I make it fun, and then like the last 4 chapters, I'm writing in the style of. I'm going to age myself here again, but back when I was like 12 or 13, make your own adventure books used to be really popular.
Oh yeah.
You remember those? So that's actually how I'm writing the last 4 chapters. But I'm taking the reader on investigations with me. So like the first chapters, like they're going to Waverly with me, and I present like my evidence, and they decide what to do and stuff.
That's really cool. I like that.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so I'll send you a copy when I get done with it.
Oh yes, please do. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it.
Anyway, let everybody know how to get a hold of you guys again, and then we'll jump off of here.
Okay, so check us out. We're the Tennessee Shadow Chasers. We are on Facebook. We have a WhatsApp. We're on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube. We're not very good about uploading videos right now because we're so just involved with a lot of other things going on to where I've kind of dropped the ball as far as putting content out there, and I'm sorry. But contact us if you want to visit the shrine. I would recommend everybody at least visit the shrine once. It's a beautiful place, and you don't want to miss out on it. The calendars are filling up, so give us a call. The phone number's on the WhatsApp as well, so you can reach out by cell phone. You can reach out on WhatsApp or on Facebook. And like I said, it's $280 for up to 6. I think it's 6 or 7 people. $100 deposit. So we're not looking to get rich. We're just looking to expose people to the shrine.
No, it's not bad at all. I mean, yeah, it's definitely real worth it. That's the thing that's another thing that amazes me about the place. I mean, everything amazes me about the place. But some places have got so expensive. And yeah. So anyway, I definitely have to get a hold of you guys because I'm coming back down to the shrine. Plus, I think we need to do an investigation together sometime.
We really do need to. I think that would be fantastic. That would be fantastic.
So we'll discuss that later on, but definitely not on the air. Nobody needs to be part of our conversation. But anyway, thank you for being on.
Thank you for having me. It was an honor. I loved it. Thank you. Thank you for listening to me babble.
Check out the exit video. I've been working on this one.